Hello and welcome to Picture Astrology. In this quick video, we will learn about placement of Jupiter in the sign of Pisces, which is a sign ruled by Jupiter itself. And it is one sign which is known to bring about many positive qualities of Jupiter in your life. However, just as it happens in life, there is no combination which is almost always beneficial. There is always some or the other caveats or pitfalls associated with every placement. So in this video, we will try to explore the physical, mental and psychological implications of this placement of Jupiter in Pisces. We'll also see a few potential areas where due care needs to be taken because of this. So Pisces is sign ruled by Jupiter with the water element and dual nature. And it is closely associated with deep sea because its symbol is two fishes swimming in exactly opposite direction in deep ocean. And deep ocean almost has a infinite expanse, very large expanse with creatures so wonderful that we haven't even heard of them. It's a very beautiful world, and that therefore Pisces is even considered sign for Alice in Wonderland. Now Jupiter actually represents the element of space, the vast empty room in which this entire solar system, basically all the stars, everything exists. And space, as you can clearly see, is the most omnipresent element. If you consider the universe, 99.9% of the universe, or even more, would be space, and every other element would be very tiny bit of speck. And Jupiter is the only significant representation of space in astrology. So if you see that infinite space representation of Jupiter finds a great expression in this infinite watery expanse of Pisces. And since Jupiter is a planet which shows your intelligence, it's not the planet of your intellect, but your higher intelligence ability. Therefore, it gives a great intuition power to a person. They somehow are able to have access to knowledge, ideas, solutions in sort of an inexplicable way. And one reason is also that Jupiter is known as the planet of Purva Punya. Purva Punya basically can also be described as the good karmas which you have done in your previous lives, or the blessings, or basically things which you just get in this life without much efforts. And Jupiter's placement here in Pisces will definitely show this effect of you put very less effort but gain a lot of success or knowledge in some or the other areas of life, especially the houses in which the Pisces and Sagittarius, the two signs owned by Jupiter, are placed. And it also shows a person who has been deeply involved in great knowledge activities in the previous births, and that knowledge kind of carries through in this life. Now for that to happen, or for that knowledge to manifest in a very tangible way in this life, this Jupiter should be placed in either a Kendra house, which is 1, 4, 7 or 10 house, or in the Trikona house, that is the house of 1, 5 or 9. If Jupiter is placed in any of these houses, 1, 4, 7, 10 or 1, 5, 9, then more often than not you would sort of display the intuitive ability in a very tangible way in this life. For example, like astrologers, there are astrologers who even without a lot of formal sadhana or training or formal learning are just intuitively good at predictions. They just look at a chart and are able to predict one or two things very easily, clearly at the first glance. But if you ask them, their logic may not make a whole lot of sense, because Jupiter in Pisces is all about intuition, not about logic. This placement is also known, or most of the classical Vedic astrology books talk about person getting good inheritance because of Jupiter in the sign of Pisces. And this again relates to the Purva Punya or past life good karmas. When Jupiter, the planet of this, is such strongly placed, it invariably shows some kind of inheritance. And again, this will be more tangible when Jupiter is in Kendra or Trikona house. And before getting into some of the challenges which this placement poses, let's take a quick look about how the impact would be on your physique, and this will be more prominent if Jupiter has any ways related to first house or the Lord of first house, because they truly determine your physique. Now, a benefic like Jupiter aspecting ascendant is always good for physical felicity. Yet, Jupiter in this watery sign is known to give a middle stature and a little bit stout body. And it can easily give you weight gain. Weight gain will also be possible if Jupiter is say posited in the 4th house. And since Jupiter represents about fat in your body, and that fat forms a very conducive environment in the watery dual sign. Therefore, gaining and accumulating fat is very easy. Also, Jupiter, if anyways associated with 2nd house, will give you tendency for a big sweet tooth. You might love sweets a lot, and that adds to the weight gain story. Now let's come to see some of the common issues associated with this placement. As we've already seen, the sky element or the space element, the infinite watery position, the nature of Jupiter, they all come together to give a very generous disposition to this placement. And as you know, Jupiter aspects the 5th, 7th and 9th house from its own position. And that generous disposition or that generous nature gets fully distributed on these places also. Now suppose Jupiter aspects your 6th house. 6th house has many negative connotations, like it represents your enemies or obstacles you face in life. So this generous Jupiter, if it aspects the 6th house, it will be very generous with your enemies also. Meaning it will increase your enemies, it will give you obstacles, it will give you problems. And since it's Jupiter, it will also solve those problems for you. But however lucky this Jupiter's placement may be, it doesn't mean that you will not have adversaries or problems or enemies. And how quickly you will be able to get rid of them will also depend on the Lord of 6th house and the other influences on this house. But just the Jupiter itself, Jupiter in Pisces having aspect on 6th house will definitely give you obstacles and opposition. It will also give you wisdom to overcome them. But that generosity will be spilled over on this area too. Now suppose Jupiter also simultaneously aspects a 2nd house or 11th house of your money matters. And another significance of 6th house is it shows the debts, the kind of money you may borrow or some other debts. So that generosity again, it can increase your debt, no doubt about that. But again, it will also give you prudence to find ways and repay it. And since Jupiter is not a planet without ethics, you know, people you would if you have this placement, you would think about how to repay that in a proper way. Another common thing which happens with this placement is that Jupiter represents responsibilities. I mean, it's not Saturn which gives or which shows your compulsions or things which you must have to do or like bondages, but things which you willingly volunteer to do for social good or for others. That generous nature actually makes you take responsibilities. It gives you a tendency where you want to help your family, you want to help your friends, you want to help people generally in distress, help society. And Jupiter is in Pisces, which is infinite expansion. So it can even give you, or make you give you a tendency where you keep on taking more and more responsibilities, maybe voluntarily, but that adds to your burden. And in negative dashas, it can, or in negative transits, especially when say ascendant is weak, it can make get involved in others issues which you don't really need to, or take up unnecessary responsibilities, or having to carry out those duties for others which may take up a lot of your time and energy. But other than these few things, and unless the sign of Sagittarius and Pisces fall into some of the negative houses, then the significations of those houses can be increased. But generally speaking, Jupiter in Pisces is a very good placement which gives good family life and also good material success in this world. So friends, this was my very quick analysis of Jupiter in Pisces. We will always see more details when we talk about each ascendant separately for this combination. I really thank you for being with me and watching this video so far, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.